Greetings everyone and welcome to Spacing Out. I'm Jason McClellan.
And I'm Maureen Elsberry. Thanks for joining us.
After a flood of UFO-related stories earlier this month, the past couple of weeks have been pretty slow, but we've still got you covered. So let's jump into it and talk about some of the stories that have made headlines recently.
Some scientists believe red rain that fell in India is proof of extraterrestrial life.
The Huffington Post explains that between July 25th and September 23rd, 2001, the Indian state of Kerala was drenched by bizarre red-colored rain unlike any seen previously. Kerala-based physicist Godfrey Lewis analyzed the rainwater, and to his amazement, the particles appeared to be alive.
Lewis believes the particles are extraterrestrial spores that were hitching a ride on a meteorite that exploded over Kerala before the red rainstorm. This theory is supported by the fact that, according to Lewis's research, these extremophiles are able to continue replicating at temperatures exceeding 572 degrees Fahrenheit.
According to the Huffington Post, Professor Chandra Wickramasinghe believes the alien rain theory is not only plausible, but likely. In a recent episode of the Science Channel's The Unexplained Files, Wickramasinghe opined, "The existence of life outside the Earth is amazingly regarded as an extraordinary hypothesis, but I would argue that the extraordinary hypothesis is that this tiny, minute piece of dust we call the Earth is the center of life in the universe and that no other life exists even next door to it."
An initiative is underway to convince NASA to beam a message to intelligent extraterrestrials from Earth that will be stored in the memory of the Pluto-bound New Horizons spacecraft.
The New Horizon Message Initiative is led by several researchers, including Jill Tarter of the SETI Institute and John Longberg, the design director of the Golden Records aboard NASA's Voyager 1 spacecraft. According to NASA, the Golden Record aboard Voyager 1 is intended to communicate a story of our world to extraterrestrials. NASA describes the Voyager message is carried by a phonograph record, a 12-inch gold-plated copper disc containing sounds and images selected to portray the diversity of life and culture on Earth.
At the recent 100-Year Starship Symposium, Tarter stated that Voyager 1's golden record is the most rosy picture of humanity out there for the cosmos to discover. But as Space.com reports, Tarter feels that a new message stored in the memory of the New Horizons spacecraft could serve as a new, more candid kind of cosmic note from Earthlings.
The initiative's website details, the New Horizons Message Initiative hopes to persuade NASA to upload a crowdsourced message to the spacecraft's memory following a successful Pluto encounter. The form and content of the message are yet to be determined, but will probably consist of pictures and possibly sounds. This is a project to create and implement that message.
No NASA funds will be used for this project, but it will be funded by donations instead. NASA's Curiosity rover detected signs of substantial water on Mars. This news came just a week after NASA's announcement that the levels of methane on Mars are insignificant, surprising scientists who believe there to be considerable levels of methane in the red planet's atmosphere.
Some saw the report about the lack of methane as a blow to the possibility of alien life on Mars, but this latest news about water has recharged that possibility. Wired explains that soil samples analyzed by Curiosity indicate there is likely abundant, easily accessible water widespread across the planet.
The gas chromatograph on Curiosity's sample analysis at Mars, or SAM instrument, heated up soil samples collected by the rover. Wired explains that once all the volatiles were burned off by the oven's scorching 835 degrees Celsius temperatures, the laser spectrometer measured the different isotopes remaining to identify what molecules were present in the sample. That's how the water was discovered.
Lori Leshin, lead author of one of the 5 papers published in the journal Science about the discovery, describes, "When we send people to Mars, they could scoop up the soil anywhere on the surface, heat it just a bit, and obtain water." She explains about 2% of the soil on the surface of Mars is made up of water, which is a great resource and interesting scientifically.
Peter Grindrod, a planetary scientist at the University College of London, not involved in the study, explained to Wired, "The water in the soil particles is interesting because this fine-grained material is moved around by the entire planet by near-surface winds, meaning that it could have global implications."
These latest findings are further evidence of Mars' wet past, and because the discoveries published in these 5 recent papers only cover Curiosity's first 4 months of work, scientists are optimistic that bigger discoveries are yet to come.
The Islamic Republic of Iran Air Force, or IRIAF, has reportedly used F-14A Tomcats to intercept UFOs for decades.
An article in the October 2013 issue of the military aviation magazine Combat Aircraft Monthly describes the history of the Tomcat aircraft in the IRIAF. Near the end of the article, a section titled UFO Hunters describes that F-14s have been used by the Air Force during the last 20 years to intercept foreign and unknown aircraft.
The article explains that when Iran's nuclear program was revealed, the U.S. used unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, to gather reconnaissance from nuclear facilities in the fall of 2004. IRIAF reportedly had 4 F-4 and 4 F-14 interceptors standing by 24 hours a day because of this UAV presence. Other F-4s and F-14s were kept on alert, and some were flown every night to monitor the area's airspace. But some of the unidentified craft they encountered were anything but ordinary.
UFOs were spotted multiple times by both ground radar and airborne radar. According to Combat Aircraft Monthly, Iranian sources described that the UFOs displayed astonishing flight characteristics, including the ability to fly outside the atmosphere, attain a maximum cruise speed of Mach 10, and a minimum speed of 0, with the ability to hover over the target. These craft also reportedly emitted high levels of magnetic energy that disrupted navigation systems and jammed radars. The article also mentions a 2012 incident where an F-14 was scrambled to intercept an incoming UFO, but seconds after taking off, the F-14 exploded.
Other attempted engagements by the F-4s and F-14s proved futile, so the IRIAF reportedly ordered an end to flying missions against these luminous objects. Both Iran and Russia allegedly investigated these extraordinary UAVs, but following 2 years of research, the Iranian army settled with the conclusion that the craft were simply U.S. intelligence drones.
No currently known aircraft has the ability to perform like these UFOs observed in Iran, but NASA's X-43A scramjet set a new world speed record for a jet-powered aircraft, Mach 9.6, or nearly 7,000 miles per hour, in 2004, but it doesn't have the capability to hover. It is a natural assumption that the U.S. military has secret aircraft and technology that haven't been publicly acknowledged, but until such incredible technology is revealed, it is impossible to conclusively write off the UAVs in Iran as U.S. drones. This is a great article. I like this story, and it's fun when stories about UFOs pop up in places you wouldn't expect, like a military aviation magazine, and it's very cool because one of our viewers and an Open Minds magazine subscriber sent this article to me so we could do this story. But again, in some of these stories, it's weird when they come to the conclusion or jump to the conclusion that we're okay with saying it was U.S. aircraft,
right,
when I don't know what they're basing that off of.
They don't really have a lot of evidence, and I think this is another example of the fact that different military organizations from all over the world have investigated UFOs and have spotted some pretty, alarming things. And a lot of times it's ruled that they find that this isn't a threat to our airspace, but I'm sorry, if you have jets exploding and, whatever this magnetic energy coming from these luminous objects is jamming their radars, how can that not be a threat to your airspace?
Right. And if you haven't read the article on openminds.tv, I encourage you to do that because there are some additional details in here about other encounters where they scrambled jets, the jets went up and tried to fire missiles, but then their system just shut down and they couldn't fire missiles. I mean, yeah, that's a huge threat.
And they are describing luminous, almost saucer-like objects half the time. So whether or not any of them were U.S. drones or not, we don't really have a lot of evidence to prove that.
And if they were, I mean, it's just, and people do speculate that the U.S. military and other militaries around the world are in possession of technology that's years, decades beyond what we currently know about. And that would certainly have to be the case here with these UFOs because they're described as, being able to fly Mach 10,
right,
but also being able to stop, hover, and then shoot off like a meteorite, they describe. So that's pretty impressive.
I think these remain unidentified, in my opinion, even if they've come to the conclusion that they're just all drones.
Right, and they say that they, after 2 years, stopped scrambling jets when these things were around and really concluded their investigation. I hope that that's just the public announcement and that they are continuing their investigation.
I'm guessing that that's probably the case.
All right. And let's talk about Chandra Wickremesinghe for a minute. And this red rain is cool. It's been in the news for years and years, but it was in the news again because it was on the Unexplained Files on the Science Channel. So it's interesting to see it again, but Chandra Wickremesinghe has been in the news a lot because I don't know how many times this guy needs to have further examples of extraterrestrial life coming here, arriving on Earth from outside sources before people will take him seriously. I mean, some in the scientific community do, but he gets a lot of ridicule for his claims that he's discovered extraterrestrial life.
Yeah, and this is a confusing case because there's a lot of cases of different red rain, black rain, blue rain, whatever have you. And a lot of times I know skeptics will say sometimes that's from a volcano eruption or dust from the desert that is then rained over in different areas, but they tested both of these and this appeared to be biological organisms. So it's strange, but whether or not it was from a meteor or from something that was in the upper atmosphere latching on to something. I mean, this has been going on since before 2002 that they've been publishing this in their findings in different scientific journals,
right.
And we still don't really have a concrete answer here.
Right. Another mystery. So we've got mysteries today. But I am glad he's in the news more and people are becoming more familiar with him and his research. And I don't know, he's not the only scientist making these claims. You know, just like with the red rain, there are other scientists saying, look, we found extraterrestrial life here.
Hey, I'm a big fan of panspermia, so we'll see.
I am too. Well, that's all for this episode of Spacing Out. Be sure to visit our website, openminds.tv, for all the latest news. We update it every day with all the news. And if you're a podcast listener, go to openminds.tv/radio and check out Open Minds UFO Radio. You can also subscribe to that on iTunes.
Make sure to click on the like button if you enjoyed today's show, and remember to subscribe to our channel so you know when we post new content. Thanks again for joining us today. I'm Maureen Elsberry.
And I'm Jason McClellan. We will see you in the future.
If you have a UFO sighting or something you would like to report to Open Minds, you can go to our website at openminds.tv and click the contact button to send us your request. Or you can email us at contact@openminds.tv. You can also call us at 1-877-UFO-0110. That's 1-877-836-0110.